time went on and everything, and it always stuck with me though, how he reached out to me, how he heard my story, and then how he advocated for me. And I always felt like I really wish I would have had the chance to let him know that that meant a lot to me, that I appreciated what he did. And so I finally had the opportunity, just by happenstance, about 5 years later. Hello everybody, welcome to another random walk with Elaine. Welcome to the neighborhood. So today I had hoped to go out on a trail, but it had rained most of today, and by the time it stopped raining, the sun came out. I actually did go out and walk along the water, and it was so hot and so humid. I was melting, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. So I packed it in, waited for the sun to go down, as you can see. And so I am just wandering the neighborhood, but this is a lot better than what it was earlier today. So today's talk is about something I've been thinking about, which is it's never too late to say thank you to someone, somebody that may have done something in your life, helped you out, or in your career. In my case, it was in my career, and in my case, it was 5 years later. So fun story time with Elaine here. So several years ago, I had applied for a position and got the position, and it was a promotion, and I was going to be moving. I was going to be moving from a NASA field center to headquarters in DC. And so very exciting. And it's going to be, life-changing, uprooting, selling a house, moving, all that good stuff. But when it was time to start to transition, on one of the projects that I was working on, one of the managers was saying, well, of course, like you can just stay on and help us finish up our project. And I was like, well, I'm leaving. I'm like taking on a whole new job. So not exactly sure how that would work out. And I think it was really a case of this person just didn't want to have the disruption of somebody leaving their team and having to have other people take over, which is like the natural process of people taking on new things and moving on. So this manager even went so far as to like contact my supervisor, and not even like talk to me about it. This is my life, my role that we're talking about here. I contacted my supervisor directly and was like, yeah, so, this can work out. You can just keep supporting, Elaine can just keep supporting, our project. And, even though she's moving to headquarters, like she can still keep working our stuff as well. I told my supervisor after I found out about this, I was like, yeah, no, there's like absolutely no way. I am packing up my life. I am selling a home. I am moving on to other things. And so I can't remember exactly how, but somewhere in the process, it made it all the way up to the engineering director. And he even called me up one day, and I was explaining to him, and I said, look, this is like really awkward, but I am committed to moving on to this new role. I applied to a really competitive position. I got it. Super happy about it. Like I'm gonna be moving on. And I told him, I said, I've committed to the people that I'm joining in the new role, that I'm committed to this new position. I'm gonna be moving on and joining that team and helping them out right away. And I wanted to let him know that, I had given the new team my word that I was going to be doing this. I was going to be, moving on in this way. And he was really nice and he was really helpful. And he said, I understand that. I get that. And I was like, okay. For me, it was really helpful to have somebody like that on the senior leadership side of the world, just to hear me and hear my story and to just understand where I was coming from directly. So I thought, okay, good. Maybe this will help. I don't know. It wasn't too long after that we were all in a meeting together. And this was one of the last meetings. And the anxiety was kind of amping up for me because I wasn't sure how this was all going to play out. I didn't know, if the manager who wanted me to stay was like, I was like, what if he's contacting the people at my new job and trying to work something in the background, without my knowledge? Like, I don't know what's going on here. So it was just that anxiety of not knowing that was really concerning. And so in this meeting, we were all there together in the room. So the manager who was, wanting to work this whole situation, my supervisor, and then the engineering director that had called me up and spoken to me. And so in this meeting, it came out that, this was one of the last meetings I was going to be in because I was moving on to my new role. And I was just kind of taking the pause of like, okay, this is now out in the open. Like, what is going to happen here? And thankfully, the director stood up for me and advocated for me. And it was so funny because he very clearly told everybody in the room, and his words were, "She gone." Everybody like, she's moving on. She's gone. Like, we gotta figure something else out here because Elaine's moving on, to this other role. And I was just feeling very grateful that he had advocated for me in that way in this meeting and everything. And so things are moving very quickly then. I was moving literally, several miles away, picking up my life and selling one house and getting another and all that good stuff. And so I never really had a chance to thank that engineering director that did advocate for me. I didn't feel that email was really right. Just something inside me said like, email isn't the right way to communicate how you feel about what this person did. And so, time went on and everything. And it always stuck with me though, how he reached out to me, how he heard my story, and then how he advocated for me. And I always felt like I really wish I would have had the chance to let him know that meant a lot to me, that I appreciated what he did. And so I finally had the opportunity, just by happenstance, about 5 years later. So fast forward 5 years later, I have now moved on from that role yet again, actually got a promotion and taken on a totally different position. And we were together in a leadership training kind of session. And it just so happened that we were seated near each other, actually at the same table, in the session. And so I was wondering, does he even remember me? And will he even like remember this situation? Is this kind of weird that I'm going to be like reaching out to him, being like, oh, hey, yeah, remember me? And like, you stuck up for me as I was like moving on to headquarters and that kind of thing. But it turns out he did remember me. He even, we finally had a chance at the end of the session to come together and just talk. And he was like, he actually opened with, "Hey, Elaine, do you remember me?" And I was like, "Yes, actually I do. I was wondering if you had even remembered me." And so we had like a nice little catch up chat and everything. And then right as we were wrapping up, I said, hey, just so you know, like, I don't know if you remember, but when I moved from our center up to headquarters, you had advocated for me in this meeting. I was like, you even said, to the group, like, she gone. I was like, I remember those words specifically. And we kind of had like a nice little laugh about it and everything. But I said, I just want you to know, I really appreciate what you did for me, because it meant the world to me that you believed in me and you stood up for me. And I just wanted to thank you. And it was like so heartfelt. And he did remember this story. And he just said, I knew you were going to go on and do great things. You were going to do great things for NASA, and I knew it was the right thing to do. And so, yeah, just like even like right now, like such a story still like makes me emotional to think like when people take a chance on us and just advocate for us in that way. It's really, really helpful and just really connects us as people even. So anyway, I just wanted to let you all know that, yeah, people do remember. People do remember you in these kinds of situations, even if it's been 5 years and you don't think they do. Those kind of connections do stick with people and they help. It's never too late to say thank you. I was so glad that I did, that I took the chance and reached out to him and just told him the story. I had kind of felt like, what if I had blown it and never got this chance again? And so I was just happy to get that chance to finally tell him in a way that I felt was right, that was better than, over email and things like that. And then also, it really, over the years, influenced my leadership style too, because for me, that made me think, the way he behaved in that situation, that is something that I want to do as a leader as well, to be that person to step up and advocate for people and let them know that you've got their back, let your team members know you got their back and that, you're willing to stand up for them and to support them in times of, transition when there's a lot of stress and anxiety anyway. Really, it really struck me, and it's very true what they say about you always remember how people made you feel. And I always thought, I want to remember to do like he did and be that type of leader versus, what the other person was trying to do, which was like trying to, make a shortcut or, influence the situation without talking to people directly. It was like, between the two, I wanted to be like the person who had stood up for me. So yeah, that was just something that I wanted to share with you all. It's almost like having to hold on to that over time. We always think about how, if it's something where, oh man, in that situation, I should have said this or I should have said that, when the answer comes to you later on. This was different, and where it was, I wish I had told that person that what they did meant so much to me, and to just thank them for it. And in a way, I think I held on to that longer than any kind of, oh, I should have said something, in the situation, like the perfect words come later after an argument or something like that. This was the opposite, where I felt like I really needed to tell somebody and express the gratitude. And that was something that I held on to for 5 years. So it's never too late. It's never too late to say thank you. I was wondering if any of you ever felt that way too. Have you ever held on to the opposite of having those situations where you really wish you would have expressed gratitude in a situation? Let me know, so I don't feel like maybe I'm the only one that's ever done this and held on to saying thank you to somebody for 5 years. But yeah, so it's never too late. And I think especially now, like we really need to be expressing gratitude. We need to be letting people know that we are thankful for them and what they are doing, um, and to just make sure that we are taking those chances to express these things as human beings to each other. So with that, as the as the sun is starting to set, I'm gonna thank you for going on a walk with me through the neighborhood, and I will see you on the next random walk.